Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and my husband Chris and I have been eating a carnivore diet for 7 years now. And over the course of those 7 years, I have been sharing our journey on social media and I have talked to thousands of people about their journey on carnivore. In this video, I want to talk to you about some common mistakes that I see. And while I don't necessarily think there is one right or wrong way to do carnivore, I think there are some common mistakes that might hold you back from reaching your goals. And so I want to break those down for you today. Before we get into it, I want to let you know that this video is sponsored by LAURAESPATH, which is my favorite electrolyte mix. I love these convenient little packets and they have the perfect ratio of sodium, potassium, and magnesium that I need in order to keep me hydrated. I am traveling for my corporate job this week. I am speaking at a conference and I brought my own water bottle and a handful of the electrolyte packets from LAURAESPATH to make sure that I stay hydrated and energized throughout my very long days in the Texas heat. I start every morning with the unflavored version, which is literally just sodium, magnesium, and potassium. And I put one in my big water bottle and then I am ready to go for my morning. And then I am usually adding a second packet in the heat of the summer or on busy travel days like this, just to make sure that I'm staying really hydrated and avoiding any fatigue or muscle cramps. Occasionally, I do love a flavored version, and their newest flavor, lemonade salt, is delicious. It tastes just like a nice mild lemonade, and there's no sugar in it, and it's the perfect summer treat. It's available soon for all customers, and you can get a free sample pack if you go to drinkelement.com/LAURAESPATH. They have a deal for all my subscribers, and if you purchase through this link, you can get that free sample pack with your purchase. So thanks to LAURAESPATH for sponsoring this video. Okay, let's dive into what I think is probably the #1 mistake on a carnivore diet. And I will say usually people's goals with carnivore are to lose weight, heal inflammation, heal autoimmune conditions. And this first one is a mistake for everybody, and that is having too much dairy. Too much dairy, even though a lot of times things can technically be considered carnivore, too much dairy is going to prevent weight loss. It's going to prevent you from reducing inflammation. It might prevent you from healing a lot of your autoimmune conditions. Like, it's kind of just bad all around. And I think that the cottage cheese movement has really exploded online right now. Everybody's, the way cauliflower was a few years ago in keto, everybody's making everything with cottage cheese. Cottage cheese, yogurt, while they all technically might be carnivore, and they do have some amount of protein in it. So I love that all the girlies online are talking about getting more protein in. They are full of carbs, a lot of, inflammation. They can be really inflammatory for people. And so if your goal is healing or weight loss, you've got to cut out things like immediately cut out cottage cheese, yogurt, probably heavy cream, unless you're having like the tiniest amount of it. For me, I can't eat stuff like string cheese because I tend to overeat them. Cheese in general, like butter, I do use butter for cooking, and I will never cut out cheese completely, but I am fully aware that my last few pounds I'm hanging on to is probably because I do use cheese as a condiment. So rather than having cheese as a side dish, as a main dish, or as a part of my staple foods, I try to treat cheese like a condiment where I sprinkle a little bit on my eggs, I put a little bit on some taco bowls or something like that. But if you are trying to lose weight or heal something major, you likely need to, at least for a while, cut out all dairy to see how you feel and how it's affecting you. Along those lines, the second mistake that I tend to see people make on a carnivore diet is that they don't have enough energy. And that may come in terms of like not enough calories because they're under eating, because the food is really satiating, but it also usually means not enough fat in general. And fat is this U-shaped curve where not enough fat is really bad and too much fat is also going to hold you back. But you need enough fat for your body to burn fat and also for you to feel full and for your body to be healing. And then in order for you to keep your metabolism high, right? If you're under eating for too long, your metabolism is gonna tank, you're not gonna lose weight, you're not gonna heal, you're gonna have energy issues, digestive issues, you might start losing your hair. Like, under eating is a really terrible thing, and it can be common on carnivore because usually you're just not really hungry all the time. And so when we talk about eating enough and eating enough fat, it goes back to the problem number one. Like a lot of times people end up just adding a bunch of dairy in order to eat more, because usually it's a lot easier to eat a bunch of dairy than it is to turn around and eat a lot of meat. Or quite a few people are just not used to eating fat and fatty meats, and they may have an adverse reaction to the texture of that fat. And so it's important that you're finding a way to get in enough fat without having that all come from dairy. That dairy fat is just not going to be as healing or as easy for your body to digest and metabolize than animal fats like beef fat, fatty ribeyes, pork belly, chicken with skin on it, egg yolks. Those are all going to be better sources of fat for you than dairy. So if you're eating ground beef, tons of chicken with no skin on it, a lot of lean pork chops, you likely are not getting in enough fat. That was a problem that I had, and I needed to ramp up my fat intake some in order to start losing weight. I have a couple of videos that I will link on how I ramped up my fat and when too much is too much. And I show you examples of what I was eating in order to lose about 20 pounds recently. And I'll link those for you in the description. That goes deeper into that subject. So if you think you're under eating or you're under eating energy, check out those videos. Okay, mistake number 3. And I literally at happy hour at this conference was just having a conversation with a friend about this. The problem that we see on carnivore is that people are not going all in. Somebody reached out and said, I've been doing carnivore and my cholesterol's really high. What should I do? And she was like, you're doing carnivore? Like, what's going on? What are you eating? She's like, well, I'm mostly doing carnivore, except, well, it was my son's birthday. And so we had pizza and cake. And then last week was Easter and I had this. And then I had this. If this is the mistake, if you're not going all in, you are not going to get the benefits of a carnivore diet. You can't have one foot in carnivore eating high fat meats and then one foot in carb and sugar land burning energy from carbs and sugar, or your body is going to burn the carbs and sugar for energy and it's going to store the fat. You're gonna gain weight, you are likely gonna raise your cholesterol in a bad way, and you're gonna end up with negative health impacts from having high fat red meat and all the negatives, the stigma that red meat gets. That happens when you combine it with carbs and sugar. And so we have to decide, are we gonna do lean chicken breast and salads and have some carbs and kind of go the low calorie route? Or are we gonna give our body fat and nutritious meat and satiating foods? But that means we have to cut out the carbs and the sugar in order to see results in terms of weight loss, results in terms of healing your autoimmune conditions, your digestive issues, like all of the magical benefits that you hear people talking about from a carnivore diet. You have to go all in or you're not going to see those benefits. If you don't cut out the carbs and the sugar, your body is not going to flip over. And even just once a week, twice a week, having carbs or sugar, having a cheat meal, a cheat day, that is going to prevent you from fully getting fat adapted and really healing or being able to lose weight long-term with carnivore. So you gotta make a decision. Give yourself 30 days, go all in and see what differences that makes in your health. Okay, so I just mentioned though, you have to go all in, and that is true. But another common mistake that I see is people who don't make this work for their lifestyle. They see somebody online, whether it could be me, it could be another influencer, it could be a doctor of some kind, and you think, I'm gonna follow that protocol. I'm gonna eat exactly what they say. I'm gonna live the life that I'm gonna follow what they said exactly to the letter. And maybe that means you have to eat organ meats and grass finished and only cook on a cast iron skillet with special fats, and you have to be perfect with that protocol. Well, guess what? That's just not realistic for everybody all the time. When I eat at home, I'm eating a lot of steaks. You guys see my videos. I keep it really simple. I grill. I do what I can. But you know what? I'm away from my home this week for almost an entire week. I have spent most of the month of April traveling. I do my best to bring a lot of dried meats and stuff with me. But sometimes I'm eating the eggs and the bacon from the conference buffet. And those eggs are probably some kind of powdered and rehydrated eggs. Like, I'm doing the best that I can. I had some chicken today that had a sauce on it that didn't taste sweet, but maybe it wasn't perfect or ideal. And you know what? Sometime over the course of this week, I may end up at a restaurant and eat some wings that are fried in something that's obviously not ideal. I have to do the best that I can. We have to remember that consistency is greater than perfection. You want to heal the fastest, the best, the quickest way possible. Yes, perfection is important and it will help you get there. But most importantly, you have to be able to stick to this in a way that works for your life, your busy schedule, running around with the kids. If that means you drive through and you get a burger patty at a fast food restaurant, I think that's great. If it keeps you from eating the pizza at the birthday party later, even better. We have to not let perfect be the enemy of good. And over time, you will see results that add up just by being consistent and not necessarily doing things in the perfect way the internet told you to do them. You have to eat the meat that you can afford. You have to eat the meat that you enjoy. And whether or not something is carnivore or not carnivore matters so much less than how does this food make you feel, and does this food help you hit your goals? Those are the most important things that you have to ask yourself, not necessarily is it carnivore or can I eat this? Like I got a video I'm going to link for you here that really dives into you asking yourselves, like, can I eat these different foods? And I want you to watch that video and then think about it, because you doing this in a way that works for you is the most important thing, not what I'm telling you to do or what somebody else on the internet is telling you to do. And the last mistake that I want to mention, and probably the one that I personally took the longest to come to grips with, is that carnivore is not going to fix your root cause issues with food. That is something that we have to work on within ourselves, right? There are two types of hunger. There is physical hunger, and then there's this emotional, psychological hunger. We hear this term food noise has become really popular right now. And carnivore, for me and for so many others, fixes the physical hunger. When you are not physically hungry, it is so much easier to make good decisions with food. Carnivore hopefully leaves you feeling satisfied. If you're eating a good amount of fat and protein, you should feel physically satisfied most of the time on a carnivore diet. You shouldn't be sitting around here hungry all the time. And if you are, eat more, okay? And for a lot of people, once you fix the physical hunger and you're feeling satisfied, it does help relieve a lot of this emotional, psychological hunger, or the reasons why we were turning to food. And some people tell you they go carnivore and their cravings are magically resolved. I'm not one of those people, and I know a lot of other people don't feel that way either. And for me, not being physically hungry helps me avoid and make better decisions and not give in to cravings. But it still doesn't fix that, like, when I'm stressed, I want to turn to junk food. When you're bored, you want to turn. When you're, there are certain things that are nostalgic and times when you find your body like craving and wanting those carbs and sugar that you had before. And we oftentimes then have to take a step back and figure out, why am I turning to food? This grief is making me turn to food. It's my stress that's making me want, my poor sleep that's increasing my cravings. Like, there's other things that can contribute to cravings and this food noise than just that carnivore may not magically fix. And so I don't have the answer for you on that. It's kind of something that we all have to dig in and figure out and take a step back. And like, for me, one thing that's really helped is, like, if you are to fall off the wagon or have something that you didn't mean to, it's kind of about thinking back to what led up to that. Was I too hungry? Was I stressed? Did I have access to that food that I shouldn't? Maybe I should have eaten before I went to that family party. Maybe I should have avoided going to that restaurant because I know I can't avoid that food that they bring to the table. Like, what led up to that decision that I can make an earlier decision that would help lead to a better outcome, right? It doesn't expecting yourself to have this magical willpower and that somehow carnivore is going to like magically fix all of these cravings, like, wasn't true for me. I had to do the work in order to fix and heal a lot of that relationship with food. And I do think that's true for a lot of people. And I just don't want people to end up thinking that they're broken or they're doing something wrong on carnivore or expecting a different result from it. Like, we have to realize there's two components to like where those cravings are coming from. And eating enough fat, getting good sleep, like there's a lot of physical things that we can do for it. But oftentimes we have to realize like, what am I trying to comfort, and what emotions and feelings within myself am I trying to address, and that maybe I need to like find a distraction and go for a walk and stay out of the kitchen and call a friend and like find another outlet in coping with whatever it is that I'm going through that I want to use food as comfort for. And I think that's a second piece of it. And I think in order to be successful long term, we kind of have to like fix all of these things. You can't have too much dairy. You got to eat enough. You got to do this in a way that's going to work for you. You have to figure out why you were turning to food in the first place. And you got to give yourself an opportunity to go all in. So that would be my advice to you if you are looking to get started or feeling stuck or just haven't seemed to be able to stick to a carnivore diet. And I hope that was helpful. If you are wanting to pick my brain, be in a community of people who are dealing with the same things you are, you're struggling to stay on the wagon, you can't figure out what it means to do what works for you, you can come join my locals community. We have a group of people over there who just post for accountability every day, ask questions, share. I do weekly live streams, and we all just are there to support each other in whatever that means for us in looking to improve our health. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.